Last guy of the day is Richard Thompson from Factory LLC. How are you?
Good, I'm great. Thanks for having me. Being last, we can just talk for as long as we want.
We can.
They can't shut us off. There's nobody next.
You mentioned Factory. What is Factory LLC? What do you guys do with beverage brands?
Is that we do a lot with food, beverage, and at the end of the year, pet. But
pet food.
Pet food.
Yep.
Pet health and wellness.
Okay.
But let's talk about beverage a little bit. But first of all, Factory LLC is a operating company with capital. And we look to invest in companies that are kind of 2 to 10 million in that range. We've got Innovation Center where we do scale up and we do innovation, and we have back-end services like CFOs and marketing and sales, so that we can, the companies we invest in, we can put them under our roof, if you will. And when I say roof, we've invested in about a 40,000 square foot warehouse facility, an old Bethlehem steel building that we're converting to this, call it an innovation scale-up center on steroids, so that we can bring these brands into one place and do all the things that they need to do in order to scale up and get into the market sooner, faster.
So very interesting stuff. It sounds like you guys do quite a bit with beverage brands and food and pet health and wellness brands as well. In terms of the innovation and scale-up center, when is that going to be operational? And what's going to be the ability of it to help brands accelerate?
Well, the operational part will probably be the first quarter of 18.
Okay.
Because we're just getting our hands on the building now, and since it's an old Bethlehem steel building, we're going to renovate it. So that'll take several millions of dollars in 6 to 9 months to do the right job. So it'll be a while before we get it done, but we're still investing in companies prior to it being done, because certainly a lot of people do virtual things everywhere today. We just want to do something more than virtual and actually put our hands on it. But we'll help them in all aspects, because as you know, no matter if your brand's just starting or 5 million or 20 million or 100 million, you got to do a continuous stream of innovation. If you don't, you'll die. And when you have innovation, you have to figure out how to scale it up, right? So we'll have a lot of those facilities to do that within the factory. But then a lot of these young brands, they don't need to go out and hire a CFO or CMO or all the other C's that you need. So we'll have those available, and we'll just share them based on the time that they need them, so we can keep their costs lower, get their ROI faster to where it needs to be, and launch them sooner. And if we're going to make any mistakes, we'll do it under the roof of the factory and not out in the marketplace where they get embarrassed.
Yeah. It sounds like there's a lot of brands that would want to work with you. I mean, you've got a lot of resources, you've got a lot of investment dollars that you can bring into these brands.
A lot of experience.
A lot of experience, too. We'll talk about that in a second. It's amazing, though, to hear about the process of how investors choose to align with and invest in brands. What's your approach? What's your investment strategy?
Well, we bring more than money, because there's a lot of really great, not only private equity, but venture capital groups out there, a lot of really good ones with a lot of really great experience.
Yep.
But the one thing we're going to be different, we're going to have money too, but we're going to have more than just some operational advisors. We're actually going to have this facility where we can facilitate all the things that need to be done. So I think that really brings the differentiation in it. And then we're going to have a lot of operating partners that'll be operated out of the factory. The factory is going to be located in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, which is an hour from New York and about an hour from Philadelphia. And we'll be looking at some brands that'll be coming from Europe as well that will need a home and call it Americanized for the U.S. market. We'll be able to do that.
Are there any specific categories that you're looking at in terms of food or beverage that you think would be right for partnership or right for Factory LLC?
Well, I think there's a lot of them. We're looking at some plant-based beverages now. I think that's an interesting market. You know, what's next after the Sweezy deal?
Yep.
So it's like what's around the corner. So we're always trying to look around the corner a little bit.
Yep.
I think better for you baking's really interesting. I think some things in baby food could be interesting. I think there's a lot of categories that could use innovation. But you have to remember is that you have to be sure you can scale it.
Right.
Right? Because we don't want to be a $5 or $10 or $15 million company. We want to take something from $5 million to $25 million to 50 to 100 is the idea.
Which is kind of interesting when you think about a $2 million company today being a $100 million company. What's the timeline?
Well, that's the American Italian Pasta Companies, which is one of the companies I started. Took us 12 years to go from zero to a public IPO. Meow Mix, it took us about 5 years on Meow Mix before we sold it to Del Monte. And Freshpet was about 7 years to the IPO on NASDAQ.
Yep.
So they all have different time frames. And sometimes you may not want to sell it right away, right?
Right.
You want to continue to build the revenue in order to get the multiple that is more interesting.
We touched on your background. We touched on your executive team and their backgrounds as well. Well, we haven't really got too deep into it. Let's talk about that. How did you get into the food and beverage business and the pet business and get to where we're sitting right now?
Well, I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. So I started out when I was in high school and did various things. And I ended up living in Honduras, which is called Belize now, for 7 years. So I scoured Central and South America for all the things that's happening today that you see. So I have a few relationships down there. And then when I came back to the States is that I continued my entrepreneurial streaks. And one of the companies I started thinking about was pasta. And pasta was a sleepy old business, tired. The quality was very low. And I'd gone to Italy a few times, and the idea was, wow, that Italian pasta is great. And anybody out there that's gone to Italy knows that the pasta is better in Italy.
Right.
Maybe it's the setting, but it's always better. So could I bring the Italian technology back to the States? And we did that. We brought that better quality, lower cost, better customer service to that. Meow Mix was obviously one that Nestle Purina came together. And when they came together, they had to spin off some brands. And I teamed up with a great private equity partner in Boston, and we worked together to build Meow Mix, and we were very fortunate with all the things we did. We sold that to Del Monte. And during that time, we were thinking about how could we make a better pet food. And the team at Meow Mix really spent a lot of time thinking about that, and just started taking all the words that I can't spell and I can't pronounce out of the preservatives, less processed. And so all of a sudden you had to use refrigeration. So by osmosis, I became a refrigeration expert. We put in thousands and thousands when I retired from Freshpet last year. I think we put in over 16,000 around the country. So I've become a refrigeration expert on innovation, installation, maintenance. So the factory is actually going to start renting coolers to some of these brands and to retailers so that they don't have any issues on purchase or maintenance and install for some of these grab-and-go, healthier, clean label products.
Yeah, great stuff. I can't believe we're out of time. We have these are great conversations, but we're on a tight schedule, Richard. I'm sorry, but I will say this. If brands here or brands watching want to get in touch with you and want to get in touch with the factory, how should they do it?
Well, we have a great website, just a little basic website. It's factory-llc.com.
Okay.
And all the information's there, and we can love to talk to people because, entrepreneur at heart, always an entrepreneur.
Outstanding.
Good.
Thanks so much for being with me. I really appreciate it. Good luck with Factory, and I can't wait to hear more about it in months to come.
Come and see us.
I'm going to.
All right.
All right, fantastic.